Hello everyone, and welcome back to more SRL Formula One racing here on the official SRL Racing League channel. Today we are doing round 4. We are at Austria, and we're just waiting for the drivers to queue up to join the lobby, but we are going to run through the grid as per usual in just a minute. We have a couple of reserves, as you may be able to see, and it's going to be exciting, I think, especially taking into consideration what happened last weekend. And if you missed that, it is obviously heavily advised by myself to go and watch the previous races that we have done, because last week's race was a cracker of a race. Absolutely wonderful battle we had at Kota, and hopefully we'll see something similar here today. My name is Sam, and I'm going to be taking you through today's proceedings. As we can see, drivers join. We are going to have 36 laps around the Red Bull Ring. We get more into that as qualifying starts, but let's just run through the grid here today, because it is a bit of a special grid here today, with some of the reserves taking some seats that are usually not up for grabs. But as always, Sandro Dooley's, he will be in the Ferrari that he has been in pretty much ever since he founded the league back in 2016. But for today's race, he is going to be joined by fellow Greek driver Theodoros Samanidis, who is taking the seat of Dion Stahl, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. So that is very unfortunate for Dion, but that means we'll have an all-Greek driver lineup at Ferrari, which I believe is the first time in the league's history. So that will be exciting to see how they get along. The Haas, as per usual, will be occupied by the Norwegian Robin Herstadhagen. And then I think we have one of our first reserve drivers here today. It is a newcomer, Esteban Galindo Guevara. I am so sorry if I am mispronouncing that. But the Spaniard will be taking the reins of the Aston Martin that is usually piloted by David Russo. Then we have last week's winner, Jenson Randall. He's going to be piloting the McLaren as per usual. Same goes for Nicolo Falsaresi in the Williams. And we just keep going with Alexei Koivuniemi, who's going to be here for Alpine. Then we have Senna Hervaya, who is going to be taking the reins of Jesper Lempinen's V-Carb here today. Jerome Adamaco, who finished second in last week's race, is going to be back in the Mercedes, and same goes for Tim Venting in the Red Bull. We already spoke about Samanidis, so we don't need to concentrate more on that. Then we have Jamie Jägerström, who's going to be partnering Falsaresi in the Williams. We have Alex Benedicchetti, Season 2 World Champion, who's going to be back for Kick Sauber. Ivan Brito is going to be partnering up alongside Jerome Adamaco in the Mercedes. Max Mulder, who's had a bit of a mixed start to the season, is going to be in the Alpine. And then we have a first-time appearance this season for Christian Dorman, who is in the McLaren. And I think at the moment those are the drivers that we have scheduled. Let me just check my notes here. We should have a couple of more drivers joining shortly. There we go. Andrea Latrella in the V-Carb, as he has been so far. There we go. The Italian slots into the energy drink-backed car. So this is going to be very exciting to see how proceedings will fare today, with a couple of new faces, as we discussed, and a couple of vacancies in terms of seats. Will be interesting to see who can come out on top. And right now I think we are just waiting for the green lights from the administrators. So it'll be interesting to see how we get along today. And you would say that maybe the favorites today, the usual suspects consisting of Jensen Randall, who won last time out, Jerome Adamako, who came home in second place, and had it not been for that corner cutting penalties, who knows, maybe he could potentially have challenged for the victory. And you would also think maybe that Tim Venting in the Red Bull, who didn't have the best race last time out, could potentially be someone who could challenge for a victory. And we have the other Red Bull here of Nick van Gelder joining. He's going to be partnering up with his Dutch teammate. And it'll be interesting to see what he also can do. Red Bulls so far, they haven't been as dominant as some people might have thought, which is a bit of a shame, in all honesty. And if we take a look at the current drivers' standings, I just need to make sure that this is the correct one. It is. At the moment, we have Jerome Adamako actually is leading the championship ahead of Tim Venting. So the German has gotten off to a flying start so far this season, and it is obviously also helped by Jensen Randall not participating in the first race of the season. And then in the second race, where he did participate, he had a disconnect, which meant that he only managed to scrape home 1 point, and then obviously last time out he managed to win the race. So he's a fair bit behind in the championship standings, but you would think that he might be someone who can challenge here today. And then we have Jack Richards, who we have seen at Haas the last two races. He's going to be taking the reins of the Aston Martin. So it's an all Aston Martin reserve lineup here today. It'll be very interesting to see how the two can do today, especially now that both George Wilkes and David Russo are not here, two drivers who have been at the top. And in the case of David Russo, has actually won a Grand Prix this season, and George Wilkes obviously took that final podium spot last time out. So it's not a driver lineup that is easily displaced of. But we are going to get ready to get into proceedings here right now. It'll be interesting to see what kind of weather we are dealing with, taking into consideration that we are obviously in a mountain region in Austria. So weather can always be a bit of a dice roll here, but let's wait and see what kind of weather we are dealing with here for qualifying first of all, and then once that is up, we'll see what kind of weather is presented to the drivers for the race. That will definitely be interesting. And I want to welcome everyone who is in the live chat as well. I will be keeping half an eye on the live chat as well, so if you have any questions or anything as we go along, feel free to leave them and we'll see if we can answer. We'll see if we could come to some kind of, well, solution in a way. But here we are. Let's see what kind of conditions we are dealing with, and it is raining. So the first race where we are gonna see the weather play a bit of a curveball here for the drivers. We just get the full track map here. There we go. So the drivers obviously looking at what kind of weather is going to be for the race, as we can see in terms of the tire choice for Herstadhagen. I believe that is for everyone. Ooh, Jamie Jägerström thinking about intermediates, as you can see. Just run through the drivers. Samanidis also contemplating the intermediates, so goes for Latrella. But those are the only three drivers who are thinking about potentially bolting on a set of intermediate tires. But we get our first driver out here, and that is the, let's see, that I believe that is Falsaresi. It is, and he is out on intermediates, or is that the wet tire? That is the wet tires that he has decided to bolt on. So track very wet here at the start of qualifying. So let's see what they can do. Let's just quickly see here the tires. You can see how the different drivers have elected to go in terms of tire choice. Let's go to the broadcast here for, I need his name again, I can't remember, but the Aston Martin of Galindo. I think that is what we're going to go with. Esteban Galindo here today, making his debut in SRL. Has decided to go for the wet tires as well. So we see a couple of drivers making their way out on the track. We're going to cut to Falsaresi, who's going to be the first driver to start his flying lap here in qualifying. As you can see, where, oh, big snap there for the Italian, starting his lap. The weather really playing tricks with him. We see him go into turn 1, doesn't cut the corner as aggressively as you would on dry tires. That is obviously due to the fact that the wet weather makes the curbs extra slippery. My bad. Here today, it runs it a little bit deep into turn 3 at the end of the uphill straight. No DRS here, obviously. Heading into turn 4, the downhill braking zone can be a bit tricky. Oh, we see him lose the back end there. Ever so slightly, keeps it on the black stuff. But it seems a bit of a handful, that Williams, to drive in these wet conditions. You do wonder whether or not maybe he is thinking about the race. Maybe he has a dry setup. Because of course the drivers know what kind of weather we are going to be dealing with for the Grand Prix. But into the final 2 corners, this is usually where we see people invalidate their flying lap times. Falsaresi keeps it well within track limits, and he's going to be the first driver to post a lap time. It's a 1:17.38. And Esteban Galindo improves that lap time instantly in the Aston Martin. Very solid lap there from him. We have Andrea Latrella slotting into P2 at the moment. He's on intermediate tires, so a lot of drivers, you can see, has actually decided to go out on intermediates. So that's very interesting. Jensen Randall, as we have said a couple of times, last week's winner is on wet tires, and he is just coming around the final corner to post his first flying lap, it would seem. Let's see what the Briton can do. He slots into P2, just behind Galindo in the Aston Martin. Samanidis jumps all the way up to provisional pole on intermediate tires, substituting for Dion Stahl in the Ferrari. And that is instantly improved by Jerome Aramaco, who's also on intermediate tires. He's improving the lap time by just shy of, well, that's just around 1 second, if we're being totally honest. So a big gap down to Samanidis right now. We have a couple of drivers coming around the final corners here to finish their lap time. We cut to Alexei Koivuniemi. He's out on intermediate tires as well. So it seems like the intermediate tires is the way to go here. So we see Tim Venting slot into P3. He's also on intermediate tires. So the wet tire runners not extracting the lap time that they would have hoped. And it seems like the track is drying up ever so slightly right now. We have McLaren coming around the final corner. That is Jensen Randall, improves to P2 on that wet tire. but he is still just about a second behind Jerome Adamako. Meanwhile, Alexei Koivuniemi, purple sector 1 for the Finn. Let's see what he can do here now. We have a couple of drivers finishing their lap times as well. I believe we might see Adamako might either be starting a lap time or finishing a lap time. Either way, it doesn't improve the provisional pole time for now. Koivuniemi could be on for a good lap time here, it would seem. I had good pace. Tim Venting jumps to P2, overtakes Jensen Randall. Koivuniemi using all of the track width here to try and rotate the car. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. Koivuniemi to P2 on those intermediate tires, so it's really working for him. Meanwhile, we have Sandro Dulis, who has posted the fastest first sector, it seems. And everyone except Jack Richards and Jensen Randall out on the wet tires right now. Jerome Adamako improves the provisional pole time. It is now a 1:13.5. We can see Sandro Dulis maybe holding up the Red Bull right behind him ever so slightly. I believe that might be the Red Bull of Tim Venting. Yes, it would be. Meanwhile, bunch of drivers finishing their lap times right now. See, we cut to Alex Benedicchetti. He has invalidated his flying attempt, so that's not going to move him anywhere. We have Max Mulder potentially. He started the lap time. Let's follow the Dutchman here, who, as we said in the introduction for today's race, has had a bit of an up and down season so far. Very good and solid points in Bahrain, but last time out didn't really make it work. So hopefully here today he can find a points-paying finishing position. He's currently sitting P3 in qualifying, so very good lap time from Max Mulder at the moment, and joining his teammate Alexei Koivuniemi in the fun end of the grid, it would seem. Meanwhile, we have a bunch of cars here on the exit of turn 4, which is also why we have a yellow flag. I believe that might have been the V-carb of Senna Herweyer, who was obstructing a little bit. We see Sandro Dulis here caught in a McLaren sandwich between Dorman and Randall. He's almost holding up the McLaren behind him, but Dulis is on a flying lap, so he is not obligated to get out of the way. As he comes around the final corner, doesn't really do anything for him in terms of positional gains here. He sits P10 on this attempt. Meanwhile, let's cut to Jensen Randall, who is the driver behind Dulis. So he was the driver who was getting held up ever so slightly by the Greek driver in the Ferrari, which is a sentence today that doesn't really work, as Jerome Adamako slices off just about half a second from his lap time, improves to a 1:13.0. Track right now is getting a little bit more grippy, it would seem. Jensen Randall losing the back end there out of turn 4. He is on a flyer right now. It seems like the Ferrari of Dulis is fueled for multiple runs here today in this qualifying session, just staying out and running lap times. We see Randall, he is on intermediates. It's his first flying lap on intermediates. Through the final corner, just keeps it within track limits. What's it going to be? It's going to be a P2. Good enough for P2, but he is over a second behind Jerome Adamako. Alexei Koivuniemi jumps to P3. We have a couple of drivers here. Believe one is... that was not the driver. It's Jerome Adamaco heading into the pits. So he might have time for one more timed run. We see a lot of traffic here in Sector 2 at the moment. Let's see if we can find Christian Dorman making his seasonal debut here today, the number 21 on the McLaren. So it will be interesting to see what he can do here today. We've seen Freya Bile produce pretty decent results in the McLaren so far, and hopefully for both his sake and McLaren's sake, he can keep up the good work that the Ethiopian started. Runs a bit wide out of the final corner there, doesn't really gain anything. It's a 121, but it was an invalidated lap, so it doesn't count. He goes for another attempt, instantly invalidates his attempt. Let's see if we can find someone who is on a flyer here. We got to Jack Richards in the Aston Martin, just starting a flying lap here. At the moment, Jamie Jägerström has jumped to P3. Samanidis improves to P7. So it's a bit interesting to see. Let's see if we can find who that Williams is. Is that Jägerström? It is Jägerström. And he is flying through the last couple of corners here, the Dane. Currently sitting P3, which is a very good result for him. It's not going to be an improvement of lap time. Be interesting to see if he keeps it going into turn 1 here. Runs it very wide, keeps it within track limits, and he is off to another attempt to see if he can improve on his lap time. Max Mulder at the moment, the only other driver except for Jerome Adamaco who's cracked into the 113s. Saying that, Jensen Randall just posted a lap time, and same for Tim Venting and Alexei Koivuniemi. So a couple of drivers, top 5. I want to include Alexei Koivuniemi on that one because he is on a 14 flat. So we see Galinho jump to P3 in the Aston Martin. We're just on board here following Jamie Jägerström. He is improving, it seems. The number 20 Williams here. Now he just has the 2 final corners left. Runs it very wide over the curbs there. Doesn't run it too wide. Cuts the inside perfectly. Keeps it within track limits. And what will this be for the Dane? It is P2 for Jamie Jägerström. Only bested by Jerome Adamaco at the moment. So a very good and solid qualifying attempt there from Jägerström. Let's have a look here. We have a couple of drivers heading into the pits. We still have 3.5 minutes left, so there's plenty of time to go into the pits, bolt on a new set of tires, and potentially get one last run in. We see Alexei Koivuniemi jump to P3. We have one of the Ferraris through the final corner. Will be Sandro Dulis. Let's see what he can produce. Doesn't improve. Meanwhile, we have on board here with Samanidis, the number 77. Through the final corner, Jerome Adamaco bests his lap time, improves it down to a 12.2. So that is definitely something that is... that's going to be difficult to beat for the other drivers, I think. That is going to be very tricky. Meanwhile, who do we have that we can cut to? Let's cut to... let's cut to Jerome Adamaco. Just improved his lap time. He's still out on track at the moment. Jensen Randall heading out of the pits to see if he can do anything to upset the running order as it is right now. Let's see, I think we have Samanidis. That's not who We have Duelis through the final couple of corners here. Through the final corner, will he improve his lap time? Let's see. He does improve to a P10 spot right now, but it is very close between the mid-pack at the moment, and he is just churning in laps right now. So he's doing a very solid job at the moment. Samanides, next driver through the final couple of corners here. Let's see what he can do. Doesn't improve his lap time, unfortunately. Meanwhile, we have one of the Alpines making... that will be Max Mulder then. Through the final couple of corners has invalidated. So he's not going to improve on this lap. But let's wait and see what he can do. Meanwhile, let's cut to the man who won last time out. He improves his lap time, but not his position. Managed to cut off just about half a second from his best lap time. Jensen Randall, but that wasn't enough to improve a position. He goes again. It's not a purple first sector though. So I do wonder whether or not Jerome Adamaco has put down a lap time that is just simply so fast that no one can match him, but that remains to be seen. We still have a couple of minutes left in this qualifying session to determine the running order of this Grand Prix. Oh, we have a few retirements. I believe that must have been in the pits. Samanides improves to P2. And he is, well, just over a second behind Jerome Adamaco. Jensen Randall through the final couple of turns. The drivers who retired are the two Aston Martin drivers. Do believe that might have been in the pits, but I stand corrected. Jensen Randall invalidates his lap time in the final corner, and that is it for his qualifying. He's going to be starting a best of P5 if no one else improves. Although I do have a sneaking suspicion Andrea Latrella invalidates his lap time. He was one of the drivers who potentially could have pushed Jensen Randall to a lower position. Sandro Dulis through the final corner here. Is he going to improve? He is. He's going to improve a single position to P10. And Jerome Adamaco improves his lap time once again. It is now down to a 1:11. Jamie Jägerström through the final corner. What is the Dane going to do here? He slides through. It's good enough for P3, but Samanides, no, he goes into the pits. So he's not going to improve. Meanwhile, Tim Venting on a flying lap right now, I believe. Or is he on an out lap? No, he is finished. So qualifying has finished. It is Jerome Adamaco convincingly taking pole position here today, ahead of Tim Venting, and a commanding lead by the Mercedes driver. Jamie Jägerström completes the top 3 here in qualifying, and Nick van Gelder, I didn't even notice, but he crossed the line as the last driver, finishes P4 here in qualifying. So a very solid job by the Red Bull drivers at their home turf here today. I didn't even notice that, and I'm so sorry about that. But this is going to be the starting order for today's Grand Prix. Jerome Adamaco by over a second ahead of Tim Venting. He took pole position, and then it is Jamie Jägerström in P3, followed by Nick van Gelder. Thodoris Samanides outqualifies his more experienced Greek teammate in P5. Then it is Alexei Koivaniemi, Jensen Randall, Falsaresi, and newcomer... I forgot his name already. I'm so sorry. I know his first name is Esteban. We're just going to call him that. In P9. And then it is Max Mulder with a very solid P10 in qualifying. So very, very good from the home favourites of Red Bull here today. P2 and P4. They can be happy with that. And it is a dry start to the race. So as we might have expected a little bit, a couple of the drivers might have been running some dry setups, which obviously compromises your ability to extract the maximum out of your car when it comes to qualifying. But that's going to be very interesting. Maybe we'll see the order shaken up a little bit here in the Grand Prix then, if anyone decided to go for a wet weather setup in qualifying instead, which is going to obviously not favor them here in the race, but that remains to be seen. But what a qualifying session. Jerome Adamaco in a class of his own, but behind him it was very close, and a very solid job by a couple of the new drivers who definitely showed what they are made of, and not to be taken lightly, it would seem, especially in terms of Esteban Galiño in the Aston Martin. But drivers set off for the formation lap, and we're just going to run through the order really quickly. We have Jerome Adamaco on pole position. Alongside him is going to be Tim Venting in the Red Bull, who is at their home turf here in Austria. And we have Jamie Jägerström in the Williams, followed by the other Red Bull of Nick van Gelder. I believe this is his highest qualifying position in a couple of years, so very good from the Dutchman to perform so well. And then we have Thoradis Samanidis substituting for Dion Stahl here today. Very solid qualifying from him. And then we have Alexei Koivuniemi in the Alpine starting P6, followed by last week's winner in Jensen Randall. He did say going into this race, I just heard before we went live, that he wasn't sure that he was going to be at the front. And qualifying, if that is anything to go by, well, it could look like a tough day at the office for the reigning champion. And we have Falsaresi in P8 as we see the predicted pit strategies. Potential for 2 and 3 stoppers, which is definitely welcome. And then we have newcomer Esteban Galiño in P9. Very solid qualifying from the Spaniard there. And then top 10, as we said, rounded out by Max Mulder in the other Alpine. Sander Dooley's not the qualifying he would have hoped for, but he can make it all up in the race here. And we have Jack Richards in the Aston Martin P12, Andrea Latrella P13, Alex Benaracetti in the Kicksab of P14, Ivan Brito in P15, Senna Herweyer substituting today P16, Christian Dorman making his seasonal debut in P17, and Robin Herstadhagen rounds out the grid here today in the Haas. But we are just waiting for the 5 red lights are going on, and the Austrian Grand Prix of Season 11 is go. It is a good start from Jerome Adamaco, very good start from Jägerström. Samanidis jumps into P4, makes the jump, and Jensen Randall is fighting with Nick van Gelder for P5, running side by side. Here comes Alexei Koivuniemi. And they are 3 by 3. Oh, this is going to end horribly. We see the Aston Martin. There's contact. It's not looking good, but it seems like... Oh, we have a spinner there. I believe that is Max Mulder in the Alpine, spun around. And he is picked up some damage there, it seems. Jerome Adamaco leads the field around here. Tim Venting keeps P2 ahead of Jägerström, and then it is Jensen Randall who's made a huge start here today, jumping from P7 all the way up to P4, and Samanidis and Koivuniemi having a bit of a scrap here over P5. Samanidis making a decent start, but just got caught out by the reigning champion in the McLaren. But it seems as if, apart from Max Mulder, that everyone managed to get out of the gates without any trouble. Meanwhile, we have a bit of a battle here between 2 of the OGs when it comes to SRL. Ivan Brito and Alex Benaracetti fighting over P14, it would seem. There's a bit of a distance out here in front. It seems like Adamaco has put the pressure on. He's drawn out a gap to Tim Venting in P2. DRS will be active once they come around for this lap. We see Jensen Randall, he is eyeing up the car in front of him. Jägerström in the Williams. We have a bit of a battle here, as I said, going on behind. Samanidis will be very happy that he has managed to stay within DRS of Jensen Randall so that he doesn't get under attack from the Alpine behind him. But so far, a pretty decent start. Senna Herweier picks up the first penalty of today. Oh, Samanidis gets a bit sideways coming out of turn 1. It is a tricky corner, and that is going to put the pressure on him from Alexei Koivuniemi. Goes for the move here into P4. Oh, I meant turn 4. Samanidis slams the door on the Finn here. Doesn't leave him much room, but that was half an attempt made. And I believe we also have a move for P3. Jägerström overtaken by Jensen Randall, and he is making slow progress, but it is progress nonetheless from the reigning champion. Overtakes for P3, and now he sets his sights on his championship rivals in Tim Venting and Jerome Adamaco. But there's a lot of work that is yet to be done by the reigning champion. He has 2.1 seconds to close to Venting in front. And I would not expect Jägerström to ease off the pressure here. We know that he is a very aggressive driver. So I'm expecting the Dane to put the pressure on and not just let Randall go. But there is a bit of a gap that needs to be closed for Randall. Christian Dollmann picks up his first penalty of the season. Meanwhile, we have a bit of a train running here. We see, oh, there's contact between the two Aston Martins. And I do wonder if there's damage to one of them. We didn't catch that. We have a big scrap going on here between them. We see, they're rubbing up against each other. They're not leaving anything on the table here. They're going absolutely hammer and tong at each other. And it would seem that whatever equivalent that Aston Martin has of papaya rules is completely out of the window here today. We see Jack Richards, or was it Jack Richards? No, it's Esteban, who heads into the pits for damage repairs. So that promotes Falsaresi and Dulis up a couple of spots. There's a bit of a train here. Oh, we have a spinner. That's Senna Herweier. And we have a full course caution. I do believe it is just a virtual safety car. So it's not a full safety car, but Senna Herweier has retired. I believe it was coming out of the final corner. Might have been running the curbs a little bit too aggressively. We'll just jump on board here with Max Mulder. Let's see if we can see the stricken car of Senna Herweier. No, they have managed to remove it, but it was at the final corner, so he might have lost it coming out of the final corner there. It is a very high speed section. Let's just have a look and see what tires each of the drivers are running here. So Jerome Adamaco has started this race on medium tires. Very interesting compared to the three drivers behind him running hard tires. So that might also be why we are seeing such a big gap between Adamaco and Venting, who's currently occupying the second place spot. But these three will be maybe looking to work together, as Samanidis is just about hanging on to Jägerström's DRS here. And he got a good run out of that turn 3, it would seem. Samanidis has left Koivuniemi to his own, it seems, and right now it is just... It doesn't seem like there's a lot going on here. People settling in. Cut to Dooley's the other Ferrari. Currently chasing down Jack Richards in the Aston Martin. We can see the tail light flashing on the Aston, harvesting energy. Or is he going to go for a move here into the penultimate corner? He goes for it and makes the move stick. And that leaves Jack Richards vulnerable to Latrella and Brito, who instantly caught up to the back of the Aston Martin from the slowdown that Richards got from the duel between him. Oh, as we see, Ivan Brito goes for the dicey move here. He has the outside for turn 3. Oh, has Alex Benedicchetti outbroken himself? He turns Ivan Brito. Oh, there's contact! No! And Ivan Brito and Alex Benedicchetti come together. It seemed like Brito just lost the car coming out of the corner. And unfortunately, there was nowhere for the Colombian in the Kick Sauber to go. Meanwhile, out in front, Jensen Randall has actually lost a bit of touch to Tim Venting, and he is currently being put under pressure by the Williams of Jägerström and the Ferrari of Samanides. So at the moment it seems a bit difficult for Randall to really make himself one of the protagonists here today, as we see Brito and Benedicchetti head for the pits. And I have no idea what went on there. As I say, I suspect that maybe Brito just lost the car coming out of turn 3. And there was no malicious intent. We have a bit of a battle going on here. Jack Richards heads past Sandro Dulis again. Dulis has really not been able to fire up those hard tires. And he, to be fair, he is surrounded by drivers on the medium tires. So it'll be interesting to see what he can produce. Jerome Adamaco heads to pit road. Okay, that's quite early, actually. But he is the first of the front runners to blink. And he boxes onto a set of hard tires. Meanwhile, Alexei Koivaniemi as well heads to the pits as well. We see a 4-car train here. Jack Richards has a bit of damage to that front wing, and that is compromising him through the twisty bits. We see that's why he's pulling this train at the moment. We might see a move here into turn 3. Sandro Dulis goes for the inside. Does he make it stick though? Oh, they do bang wheels ever so slightly, and Christian Dorman, oh! They are slicing and dicing. Jerome Adamaco finds himself in this fight as well, so he has to be careful. He goes for the dive on Latrella. Doesn't make it stick. And he heads for the outside here. Oh, bit of contact there from the V-carb. And he has to be careful here. Otherwise, he does not want to pick up damage here. Jack Richards very slow through that complex. Jerome Adamaco around the outside in the S section. What a beautiful move from the German. And he is wasting no time with these back markers. Well, they're not back markers, but to him they might as well be. And now he is eyeing up Sandro Dulis. He's sitting behind him. Oh, he goes for the inside and makes a clean move there. Locks up ever so slightly. And he is all the way up to P6 again after pitting. We see a couple of the other drivers heading for pits. Samanides, Andrea Latrella and Jack Richards have also gone into the pits. But what a move from Jerome Adamaco. He's not wasting any time here today, and he's taking no prisoners, it would seem. Meanwhile, out in front, it remains as it was. Tim Venting has taken over the lead, followed by Jensen Randall, and then it is the Williams duo of Jamie Jägerström and Nicolo Falsaresi currently running P3 and P4. Oh wow, what a sequence of events that just transpired on our screens. That was crazy from Adamaco. I believe he might be on the move again as Jensen Randall picks up his first penalty. Adamako makes a clean move on Nick van Gelder for P5. And he is currently only 5.5 seconds behind Falsaresi. And bear in mind, the people out in front have not boxed yet. Oh, we see... Oh, that was a big slide there from Nick van Gelder. I don't know what happened there. We just saw it in the background. Van Gelder slid into turn 3. Might have locked the brakes. And Sandro Dulis makes his way past the Dutchman in the Red Bull. But he keeps the pressure on here, Van Gelder. That was a bit of a strange one there from Van Gelder. We know that he likes a loose car. But I mean, there's no benefit of running a loose car that, well, doesn't stick to the road. And he would have busted his tires from that. But he continues for another lap. He's currently on medium tires that have gone... Oh, that might be a bit controversial right there. Because normally you are supposed... He gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. So that's not very clever. We have a yellow flag. I believe that might be for... No, that might be Max Mulder, who has had a bit of a spin in the middle sector. But what I was just touching upon with Nick van Gelder, you are usually not allowed to take the final corner normally if you are heading for pit road. And he did not cross over into the pit lane the intended way, so there might be an even bigger penalty heading Van Gelder's way on top of the 10-second time penalty that he just picked up heading into the pits. That looked a bit suspicious, but I'm not sure. I'm not gonna jinx it though. Meanwhile, Adamako has cut Falsaresi's lead into half, just about, as he is hunting down the Italian in P4. We have a bit of a battle going on between, I believe that might be Dorman and Dulis. Oh, sorry, that is Dulis, Dorman and Samanidis, currently running in a train. The two Ferraris are sandwiching the McLaren of Dorman. Let's see if Samanidis makes his way past here into turn 3. That looks like a simple pass. And he makes quick work of the German in the McLaren. I do wonder what the Ferrari strategy is here today. Samanidis has definitely been the faster of the two. So questions are whether Dulis is, well, being told that Samanidis is just faster than him. That would be very on brand for Ferrari, especially at this track. For anyone who remembers back in the day when it was Schumacher and Barrichello. Jägerström and Jensen Randall head to pit road. We're just going to stay on board here with the Ferraris, see what they figure out. I do not expect it to be a very difficult move if Samanidis decides to go for it. We see into turn 1 here. They are just going to clear the pitting drivers. Oh, we have Jensen Randall filtering right out behind his teammate. We haven't seen a move yet from Samanidis. So they're running 2 by 2 by 2 at the moment. The 2 Ferraris and the 2 McLarens. And then we have Koivuniemi and Jägerström at the moment running in P8 and P9 right behind them. But Jensen Randall did make it pretty easily past his substitute teammate. And he now looks at the back of Sandro Dulis. So Samanidis was allowed to make a pass. And I do wonder, Tim Venting picks up a 10-second time penalty. He's speeding into the pit lane. And that is going to ruin his chances of a good result here today. We see Sandro Dulis doing, well, what I can only describe in terms of Samanidis' race. God's work here in terms of defensive work. But is he going to be able to keep this position? Randall waits until they've head through turn 1. And there's going to be a move here. We have a move out in front as well. Randall makes it past Dulis. Samanidis battling with Tim Venting. Has to go the long way. They bang tires. This is very reminiscent of Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen at this track a couple of years ago. Samanides, he fakes it to the inside, doesn't go for the move. And meanwhile, Jensen Randall is just sitting behind here, eyeing up that blue rear wing of the Ferrari. But all of this has made sure that Jerome Adamaco has filtered out into the lead by 12 seconds, nearly 13. So this battling is just going to be for P2 today, it seems. Samanides at the moment occupying that P3, but Tim Venting and Jensen Randall both have a couple of penalties to their name, as we see Jägerström in the background making a move for P5, so he gets past Dulis. Dulis running a long strategy here on those hard tires. He's 15 laps into the stint. Here comes Randall. Has to go for the outside. Samanides slots back in behind the McLaren. And that did not look difficult at all for the Brit in the McLaren. But he does not get the DRS. And there is still 1.9, just about 2 seconds up to Tim Venting. So there's still something there to play for. Meanwhile, Samanides now has the company of Jamie Jägerström behind him. And Jägerström looks fast. He is on 4-lap younger tires than the Greek in the Ferrari. So that definitely will play into the hands of Jägerström. He goes for the move already. Sends one into the penultimate corner, and that's a brilliant move from Jägerström. And he might just not have played this correctly, because he didn't get the DRS, because the DRS detection is after the penultimate corner. So he sacrifices the DRS detection for getting past Samanides without trouble. And we have a slow-moving car. I believe that is Max Mulder, who's currently out on soft tires, letting other people past. So his race has fallen apart ever since that lap 1 incident. But Jägerström able to defend from Samanides, who's currently running in P5. Meanwhile, we have a three-way fight here for P6. Falsaresi making his way past Dulis. Same goes for Koivuniemi, who's up to P6. And Dulis, I think, he's running a very long strategy. I don't know if he's gambling on potentially a virtual safety car, or even better maybe, a full safety car later on in the race. He continues for another lap. 16-lap old hard tires. And we are on lap 18 at the moment. Or Adamaco is, rather, should I say. Meanwhile, we have a bit of a battle brewing here between Falsaresi and Koivuniemi. Falsaresi goes for the inside here into turn 3 and gets the move done before the braking zone. And now his eyes are set on the second Ferrari of Samanides, who's currently running in P5. So I don't know what the strategy is for those who haven't pitted yet. Let's have a look. The only two drivers yet to pit are Dulis and Dorman. So it remains to be seen what their strategies are as we take a look at the penalties. Venting 10 seconds, same as Van Gelder, both speeding into the pit lane, and then Jensen Randall, Christian Dorman and Ivan Brito and Max Mulder, all four of them picking up corner cutting penalties respectively. We take a look at the positions gained or lost. At the moment it is Christian Dorman who holds the most positions gained with 8. He's currently running in P9, and most positions are lost. That is going to be the man behind him, Nick Van Gelder, who has apparently lost 6 positions when he started P4, so that does make sense. Very unfortunate race for him. Let's go back to, there we go, the tyres. As we've just been following Adamaco here. The lead has been cut down by just about a second here now. Tim Venting on the medium tyres, slowly making his ways towards the German. But it is still a monumental feat if he's going to be able to do anything about Adamako here today. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Oh, Sector 2, sorry. I think that might be Dooley's. Yeah, it is. Running into the gravel here. Those tyres, they cannot be healthy anymore. And we can see he is heading for pit road. He's missing both end plates as well. So he would have hit the wall. And really not a race that he would have hoped for here today. Sandro Dooley's with his Greek compatriot, who is also his teammate for today, currently running in P6. So doing a very solid job for the Italian-based team here today with a lot of heritage. Meanwhile, speaking of Italians, we have Nicola Falsaresi closing down his teammate Jamie Jägerström for P4 in this race. And it is underneath a second now, the gap, so there's going to be a bit of DRS battling here. We know these two, they are good friends off track, but as soon as the gloves and helmet comes on, well, it is all fair game. So let's see how he goes about this. He gets the DRS up the start-finish straight. That's not going to be enough, but he gets a second attempt here as Christian Dorman picks up another 3-second time penalty. That did not look very difficult from Jamie Jägerström. Lets his teammate past. You can understand it with the tyre difference. Although it only being one lap, you can understand it. Meanwhile, we have Jensen Randall here in front of those two, slowly but surely keeping himself in contention here. At the moment, he would inherit that second place position because he is within those 7 seconds that he needs to be on Tim Venting, who has a 10-second time penalty over his 3-second time penalty. I believe he is coming up to maybe lap. Well, that's not going to be Jack Richards. It's going to be Esteban in the Aston Martin running in P15. He is currently sitting behind Tim Venting out on track. And he's going to have the company of Jensen Randall very soon. Let's see here. Does he go for the unlapping move? No, he stays put. The Spaniard in the not McLaren, the Aston Martin, as Christian Dorman also picks up a 3-second time penalty. No, sorry, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Jägerström has made a move for P4, back ahead of his teammate, and they are battling now. You see Falsaresi goes for the outside, clears his teammate before the braking zone, as Max Mulder just set the fastest lap time. Sandro Dooley's bests him on that. He's on the soft tyres, so that's very interesting in terms of strategy calls from the Ferrari squad. He's currently down in P13, running behind Alex Benedicchetti. Two drivers who are very acquainted with each other. And did I spot some rain? Are we going to have a wet finish to this race as we see Jägerström power sliding through the final corner, trying to keep up with his teammate? I do maybe suspect that I did see some drops of rain in the final couple of corners. And there is rain. We are going to have a wet finish to this race, which perfectly explains the strategy decision from Dooley's to go onto the soft tyres. And Ivan Brito is the first to blink. He goes onto the intermediate tyres. I do believe it might be a little bit early for intermediates, because the DRS has not been deactivated yet, which is usually a call sign for drivers to go for the intermediates. But we can definitely see drops of rain on the T-cam here of Falsaresi's Williams, and it's getting heavy now. Jerome Adamako is into the pits, and I suspect he is heading for intermediate tyres. Tim Venting follows him in. Jensen Randall, same story. What are the Williams pairing going to do here? They stay out. They both stay out. So they are going to go for another lap. They don't believe it is wet enough just yet. And this is going to be interesting in terms of strategy calls. Jerome Adamaco was so far ahead of these two that he made it out of the pits before they managed to overtake him. But let's have a look here and see what happens. A lot of drivers now heading on to intermediate tyres. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2. That is for Christian Dorman, who has looped it through the S section. And let's see, it looks very difficult on slick tyres right now. There goes the DRS. And I do suspect we are going to see both of these guys into the pits at the end of this lap, which is going to be disastrous for Jamie Jägerström, because he's going to have to wait for his teammate. But you can see the rain getting ever heavier. And here we go. Falsaresi heading for the pits. Jägerström elects to go for another lap on slick tyres instead of waiting for his teammate in the pits. Probably the smarter move if he can keep it on the black stuff. As I just say that, he did run it into the grass there. And everyone except Jägerström and Max Mulder are currently on intermediate tyres. And Jägerström is going to be suffering here. Jensen Randall has almost caught him. By now makes his way past his teammate here, Randall. And this is going to be tricky conditions for Jägerström to navigate. We see the lapped car of Esteban make his way past Jägerström, and here comes Jensen Randall. He's going to have so much grip compared to the Williams. We have a yellow flag on the start-finish straight. That might be Max Mulder. I suspect it might be him. We see Jägerström almost losing the car. This is losing him heaps of time. Meanwhile, Tim Venting ever so slowly making his way towards the Dane, who is, well, he's slipping and sliding right now. And he's going to be beating himself over the head. Max Mulder has retired. He's going to be beating himself over the head over the fact that he was not ahead of Falsaresi when they had to head for the pits. But that's just unfortunate happenings. Jägerström makes his way around the track in one piece, which is probably what he hoped for, to say the very least. But he's going to lose a couple of positions here, not only to his teammate, but also to Samanidis, who comes through here, Koivuniemi as well. So he's going to be pretty far down. Makes his way out of the pits, slots into P7 ahead of Jack Richards, who has made his way up into P8 under the chaos of the changeable conditions. Same goes for Jensen Randall, actually. Completely glossed over it, but he's made his way past Tim Venting in the pit sequence. So very good job from McLaren there to spot that. We have 10 laps to go of the race here today. It's been an exciting time here today. Changeable conditions. And this race has pretty much had everything. All we could ask for. Let's just quickly run through the running order, because it seems like it has settled down ever so slightly. So Jerome Adamaco currently leading today's race. Then we have Jensen Randall, who's made his way into P2. Currently sitting on a 3-second time penalty that he has to keep in mind in terms of the man running behind him, Tim Venting, who obviously is only down to P3 right now due to a 10-second time penalty he picked up when boxing for the first time, as Jägerström picks up a 3-second time penalty. His teammate currently running in P4, Nicolo Falsaresi, followed by substitute driver at Ferrari. We don't see that very often. It happens once in a blue moon, and, well, today's afternoon was one of those times. Thodoris Samanidis running in P5, and the highest running Ferrari of today's race. Then we have Alexei Koivuniemi, P6, as he slides his way through turn 4 there. And he is in being pursued by Jamie Jägerström, who was left hanging a little bit by his team due to the fact that they didn't decide to box whenever the weather was changing. So he was left out a little bit longer than his teammate and thus dropped to P7. And we have Jack Richards in P8 substituting for Aston Martin. Andrea Latrella running in P9, doing quite well for himself as well. Nick van Gelder as well had a 10-second time penalty that he had to clear, and that is why he is currently running in P10. He is not really being followed, because that would be very generous to say when you are gapping someone by 20 seconds, but Sandro Dulis is currently occupying P11 at the moment. He is followed by Alex Benaracetti in P12, and then we have newcomer Esteban Gilani, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that. It might be wrong, but he is currently running in P13, and we have Christian Dorman in P14. Then we have Robin Herstadhagen in P15, and Ivan Brito, the last of the current runners, in P16, and that, the reason I say that is obviously because, as you can see, Max Mulder and Senna Herweyer both retired. But we do see a bit of a battle here between Nick van Gelder and Andrea Latrella. Van Gelder making his way past the V-carb, so he might be on a way on a charge back. Oh, as we see a big slide there from Van Gelder. Not unusual for the Dutchman. He likes a loose car. He likes to drift. His tyres don't though, but that is whatever. That is his conundrum to figure out. Oh, big slide there from the Red Bull coming through the penultimate corner. Hoo-wee. He is pushing it, it seems, and why wouldn't he? Because he obviously has Jack Richards in front of him, and it is not completely unrealistic that you would expect him to maybe be able to catch him. Who knows? Jamie Jägerström, his attacks have kind of died down. Don't think Koivuniemi, who's running in P6, needs to worry too much about the man behind him. But what he can worry about is the man running in front of him. It's only a 1.6 second gap up to the Ferrari of Thororis Samanidis, who, it has to be said, he has definitely been one of the standout drivers here today. And I don't know whether that is because his teammate, who usually is a very reliable and consistent driver, Jägerström picks up a 3-second time penalty there. Dulis usually is a driver who's very consistent and very... yeah, consistent is the right word to use, I think, in terms of describing Sandro Dulis and his finishing positions within SRL when it comes to Formula 1. He's very consistent, and together with Dion Stahl he obviously forms a very strong partnership, but today has just not been that day. It would be very strange to see Dulis finish outside of the points. But who knows? There's still a couple of laps left for Dulis to maybe figure something out, although 18 seconds, that might be a bit of a push to say that he would be able to close that gap. But who knows? Someone could loop it. We have seen that happen before. There is a bit of a interesting scenario brewing here though, because Tim Venting at the moment has been eating into the gap between himself and Jensen Randall. It is down to 3.3 seconds right now. Now the interesting thing here is that Jensen Randall is currently carrying a 3-second time penalty. So if the Dutchman, who's currently in P3, can manage to just eat ever so slightly more into that gap, he could see himself being promoted into P2 at the end of this race. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. One thing is for sure though, the man out in front has not been bothered ever so slightly. We saw him when he made his first pit stop carve his way through the traffic like a hot knife through butter, and that is definitely the way to describe what he was doing to the mid-pack, completely violating everyone. But what a drive from Jerome Adamaco here today, currently leading second place by 23.5 seconds, and it's not a absolutely nobody that he is leading. He is leading a 4-time reigning world champion by 23, almost 24 seconds here today. So Jenson Randall, I think he was right in saying that this was probably not the race that he was expecting, but who knows? It might actually have gone better than he expected. Saying that though, he might not finish P2 because Tim Venting has managed to creep beneath the 3-second gap to Jenson Randall, and we might even be lucky enough that in the dying laps we might see a bit of a battle brewing here. It's 2.3 seconds now between the two, and Venting definitely looking to make amends for what happened last time out in Crota, because that was, for a lack of a better word, a complete shit show from the Dutchman. But here today he has been consistent, and apart from that 10-second speeding penalty that he managed to accumulate, well, we jinxed it. He picks up a 3-second time penalty for extending the track in the penultimate corner. And what looked to be an easy job from Tim Venting has just become a little bit more difficult. Here today we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. Was that Sector 3? Don't know what that was for. Who cares? Anyway. But now Tim Venting has to do it the hard way. He has to make his way past Randall before he can call himself a P2 finisher. Makes things a little bit more tricky. But we have seen Randall be a little bit more human here today. Because usually, in previous seasons, we have been used to him just absolutely dominating each race that he took part in. But here today, he has been very, very human. And even though he's running P2 right now, Jerome Adamaco just, if he put in the knife at the beginning of the race, he's just twisting and twisting that knife right now, because that is definitely something that's going to hurt for Jenson Randall's self-esteem. As we see a bit of a battle brewing here between sister teams. It is Andrea Latrella versus Nick van Gelder. So there's a bit of a ding-dong battle going on here for the final point. Nick van Gelder currently occupying that spot, but it doesn't look like he's going to let Andrea Latrella off the hook easily. And why would you? I mean, there's no reason to do so. Another battle that could be interesting in the final couple of laps is the battle for P4. Falsaresi has been caught ever so slightly by Samanidis over the past couple of laps, and Samanidis is now beneath 1 second in terms of the gap between them. So there are 3 battles that we could keep an eye out for. I think the closest one at the moment is this one between Randall and Venting for P2 in today's race. And remember, there's no DRS, so they have to do it the old-fashioned way of passing like proper racing drivers. But looking at the speed difference over the course of the lap, it looks like Tim Venting might have this one if he can find a way past the McLaren. But the first opportunity is going to be up at turn 3 at the top of the hill. He's going to be saving his ERS here now. Let's see what he can do. Randall, does he have a defense? Initially, it looks like Randall is able to keep the position. But now we have the second straight here. Without DRS, this becomes a lot more difficult. And especially in the wet, because you can't just throw the car. Oh, saying that, Tim Venting goes for the power drift. Almost clutters into the back of the McLaren's diffuser. Oh my. So there is a battle brewing here. Jerome Adamaco has started the final lap. It is going to be final lap for these two once they pass around. And they are catching a back marker. That is Alex Benedicchetti in the Kick Sauber. Is he going to play a part in who comes out on top between these two? That will be interesting to see. Tim Venting, he is 2/10 back from the McLaren. He needs to drive out of this first corner. He gets a good drive here. And Jensen Randall, is he going to be able to defend heading into turn 3? He just about keeps it. Can Venting get the drive out of this corner right here? It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it, unfortunately, for Venting. It looks like it's going to be P3. But the man of today is going to be Jerome Adamaco. He's absolutely outclassed everyone, and he takes victory here at the Austrian Grand Prix. And we cut back to the battle for P2. It's not over yet. Tim Venting is right there. Can Randall hold on? This is going to be very close between the two of them. Randall defends the inside, switches back to the racing line. Venting is pushing Randall through the penultimate corner. Heading through the final corner. It doesn't look like it's going to be it for Tim Venting. It's going to be P2 for Jensen Randall. Tim Venting comes home in P3. Falsaresi defends his P4 from Thodoris Samanidis here today. And then it is Alexei Koivuniemi picking up P5 because Samanidis had a penalty. So it is a beautiful result for the Alpine, and Jägerström comes home in P7. Jack Richards, substituting at Aston Martin, will come home to finish P8, it would seem, unless a penalty is going to play a part. Doesn't look like it. But what a race, and an absolutely display of class from Jerome Adamaco here today. No one could touch him once he got into the lead. And he outclasses everyone by 30 seconds or more. But there's your podium. Jerome Adamaco hitting the moves as he hits for the top step and extends his championship lead over Tim Venting. Jensen Randall with a very solid P2 here today. That is going to do very well, I would imagine, for his championship hopes, and potentially making his way back into a potential championship contention. But if Adamaco is going to put on a display like he did today at any of the other races, it's going to be very difficult. But race winner is Jerome Adamaco. Fastest lap goes to Sandro Dulis. Driver of the day, according to the game, is Falsaresi. Most overtakes is Brito, and Jerome Adamaco for cleanest driver. You can't really disagree with that, honestly. But it is Adamaco from Randall, Venting, Falsaresi, Koivuniemi, Samanidis, Jägerström, Richards, Van Gelder, and Andrea Latrella rounds out the top 10 and the points paying positions. So that is the provisional finishing results. But if you have followed SRL for any number of years, or just any set amount of time, you will know that that is, well, could change. So I would heavily advise that you head over to Instagram and follow us on at SRL_F1 to make sure that you grab all of the latest news that happens in SRL, because that is where we will announce the official results, and you can also just get, well, all of the announcements that lead up to the race, that follows each race, and all of the news. So that is my advice. But what a race we had here today. It probably wasn't that exciting in terms of who was going to win it, but the battle in the mid-pack and for P2, that was definitely exciting. So I would say this was another classic in the SRL roster. And I can only suggest that after the race that we have just bared witness to here today, that you consider maybe subscribing if you haven't already, joined the little family that we have here on the channel. And as I said, head over to Instagram, follow us there. It is at SRL_F1. And if you liked what you saw here today, I would also highly advise you and maybe urge you to like the live stream. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. We're going to take a small break, actually, because the next race is going to be round 5, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, which is obviously at Imola. That is November 15th. And following that, we are going to have the round 5 of the GT3 series, which is the 1-hour race at Suzuka. That is November 22nd. And if we just round out November in terms of racing, then round 6 of the Formula 1 World Championship will take place on the 29th of November. That is the Spanish Grand Prix. But the next race, as I said, November 15th, it is round 5, Emilia-Romagna. So if you don't want to miss it, well, I can only suggest subscribing, maybe turning on notification, so that whenever we go live, you won't miss it. But it's been an absolute pleasure to guide you through today's proceedings. My name is Sam. It is a joy to do commentary for you. And until we see each other again at the next race, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, wonderful week. And as always, just stay happy, I suppose. But we'll see you on the 15th of November for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Thank you for watching.